Hey, good to see you. Back after a little bit here and late in the day. I wanted to make sure I made a commitment to myself that I was going to be going live today and I had to get it done. So I've been having technical issues and all kinds of stuff happening, and I'm not letting that happen today. So I want to check. There's some things that I want to share with you. There's a lot of things that I want to share with you. But something that I'm seeing as a trend coming up an awful lot in conversations, especially as we talk with salespeople, sales teams, and it's about qualification, about quality and qualification of leads, and I really want to impress upon you. First thing I want to ask you, think whatever platform you are watching on here, make sure that you like, subscribe, give us a heart or thumbs up wherever you're at, and let me know. Type in chat which platform are you watching on, and we're gonna talk about a few things here right now today. Just a few minutes. We'll be here about 15, 20 minutes. Just a couple of things I want to dive into, and the first piece is understanding the difference between a disqualified lead or a not urgently ready lead, right? And understanding the difference between when somebody doesn't understand why they should work with you versus them not being ready to work with you. Big difference, and it's something that's missed often. I want to address the elephant in the room because I just looked and saw myself on the screen, and any of you who know me, this is a new development. Okay, I lost my tooth last week, and after 20 years, I had a crown on it because I had a root canal. It actually went all the way back to when I was a kid because I got hit by a car and lost 7 teeth along the front, and I've had dental issues for most of my life as a result. But I had a root canal 25 years ago, so this whole piece was dead, and somehow the other day, a water bottle just barely touched it, and it broke and came out. So now I'm in the process of getting surgery done and getting implant put in. It's going to be a several month process. So decided I can't hide it, so we're just going to roll with it. Love it. Here it is. All right, but I will have a temporary coming up soon. But in case you hear any slurring with my S's or any of that stuff, this is what's going on. All right. So I want to talk to you about qualification of leads, and just type in the chat qualified, understanding you want to be speaking to qualified buyers. Yes, type in chat if qualified buyers matters to you and your business. Right now, the problem that we have often is that most people seem to think that just grabbing people off the internet is like as long as they know who you are and know what you do, that they're qualified. And a lot of times there's some confusion around whose job it is to get the buyer qualified, right? And let me make that a little bit more central balance here. So I'll tell you, the first simple answer is it's the company's job to qualify the lead, meaning the organization, the design of what's going on is what needs to make sure that the lead is qualified. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, make sure you tell me if you're jumping in on live or on the recording, where you're coming from, and what is a qualified lead to you? What does it mean? How would you define a qualified opportunity? Because what we see often, we work with a lot of marketing teams, marketing organizations. We partner well with them as they bring, companies bring us in to build sales teams, sales systems, and make that go. What we often see is that there's too much pressure on one side or the other. Like if leads come in, if sales don't happen, marketing always says sales needs to do better. Sales always says the leads suck, right? There's always some version of that. And don't tell me in the chat, true, if that is something you've experienced. If you've been in the business world for more than a week, you understand what that is, especially if you worked with a team. And the reality is that it's everybody's fault. It's the design that needs to make it happen, right? So I'm going to share an article with you that we have just launched a Substack, and I would love to invite you to it. I'm going to put the link down here. So join our Substack, join our Substack. We're putting some phenomenal content in there. We literally just launched it, and We're just adding stuff up to it because we're basically taking breakdowns of what we're seeing in campaigns and on sales reports, running stuff through our sales metric AI, which is our sales call audit assessment tool that we are running hundreds of calls through and getting a lot of data. And this is what we're going to be sharing with you. This is part of what I wanted to share with you today. I'm going to share a part of a report with you in a minute. But what we're seeing is just overwhelmingly too many people. Let me go ahead and keep this on for right now. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And, sorry, I can't do this all talk at the same time. Okay, so join our Substack, please. Check it out. We got some articles in there, and we'll be doing some breakdowns. You're gonna have to go to the channel, and we'll have breakdowns of reports as they come in. So that's gonna be where we deliver those. But what I'm gonna show you is there's an article on there that I'm gonna give you some highlights on right now, and the focus of this is that disqualifying the lead is, well, it's easy. It's easy to sit here and say, well, I couldn't close the deal, therefore they were not qualified. Or if you don't have if you're not equipped to do any real digging and setting up the gap effectively and diving deep and overcoming some of the challenges. Remember, people don't show up because they don't want to buy. They show up because they don't know how to buy. They're not sure what they should be buying. They're not sure why they should buy. That is always your job. And, raise your hand, type in the chat. If you've been in sales, if you were in sales in the previous century, like some of us of a certain age, right? You sold in the 90s, before internet, before social media, right? When you'd go to a company and you had a script and a phone book, and you had to go dial through the phone book to find your leads, or get out on the pavement and beat feet to go and become, you were the funnel. You qualified people, you sourced them, you qualified them. You had to have conversations to be able to discern where would be an optimal fit, diagnose their problems. What was their problems? What were their needs? What were their needs? And then what solutions did you have so that you could match them up with a great solution and solve their problem and make a sale? But we have advanced so much in our sophistication and technology that everybody seems to think that it is the marketplace's job, it is marketing's job, it is the organization's job to deliver a qualified buyer, somebody who knows what they want, knows why they want it, knows how much money they've got to spend, and is problem aware, is solution aware, and they're that 3%, that elusive 3%, and that every single person you come across is supposed to be that. Well, we already know that that's not a thing. You're going to have that at times. The rest of the time, everybody's going to be in various different stages of awareness, of readiness, need, and desire to solve the problem. Marketing is to generate awareness, right? And start drawing people and putting some compelling information and starting the sales conversation, but moving people in the direction of the organization. And if you're a solopreneur, I want you to think of yourself as the organization. When I'm talking about the company, I'm talking about you, because you occupy all or most of the roles in your company. And you have to start thinking about, what does my company need to do to be able to attract, qualify, and convert opportunities? Okay, so here's the fact. Just take it for what it is. You see it right here in the article, right? So that's laid out. Salespeople are not as good as they always think they are. And your leads are not as hot as marketing thinks they are. It's always a spectrum, and somewhere in the middle, right? The leads are good. They may be well sourced. They may be prepared. They may be aware of the problem. They may be somewhat aware of what you do as a company and why they should be talking to you, right? But that's always a spectrum. And your job is not to say, well, you are not ready to buy. You are not clear about the problem and the pain and the solution, and you're not as committed as you should be, so you need to go back in the crock pot. Well, maybe you just need to ask better questions. Maybe there's things that you need to do to be able to identify where are they on the journey a little bit better. Okay, so we've audited more than 25,000 sales calls, right? And Here's what we can say without hesitation, as you can see right here on the article. Reps are far too eager to disqualify. We talk to sales reps all the time. We talk to founders, we talk to sales reps, we work with marketing, and we deal with leads and opportunities. And the thing that is clear and obvious for everybody is that everybody wants to close a sale. I don't think there's anybody in the company that doesn't want the sales to close. But there's often somebody else is supposed to get this from me. There's a lot of expectations that happen. You have sales reps who believe their calendar they're entitled to a full calendar of highly qualified leads, so that all they do is go from one appointment to the next, and then, which is great for the sales rep, of course, and especially if they convert highly. But if they don't, then what? If all you do is go into a calendar full of appointments, then what we have to recognize is that there's not a lot of prep work to be done before and after. There's not a lot of follow-up to be done before and after, because they want the leads to be qualified and set on the calendar. Well, on the company side, the organization often just thinks that all they have to do is provide a lead, a quote-unquote lead that's going to set up and talk to the sales rep, and therefore it should close because I've invested in this lead. I've paid, per click, per appointment, per sat conversation, and therefore it should produce something. And that's not always the case. There's a lot of testing and tweaking and opportunities. And in today's economy, you have buyers that are a little bit more savvy, or at least they believe they are. They have a huge lack of trust with all that is going on in the AI world, in the automation lane. I saw 3 different posts today of companies that were bragging about how many positions they've let go of because of AI. And hey, I get it. But that's also terrifying to a lot of people. What that means is that the marketplace is being disrupted. I think in most cases prematurely in terms of letting people go. We put all of our focus on how do we leverage AI to improve the touch and the opportunity for the human. We're not in the replacing humans game. We're in the optimization of what humans can do game. And that's just a perspective. I don't begrudge the person who is trying to purge, get their team from 100 to 10 people. I want to get 10 people to do the work of 100. And if I've got 100, I want them to do the work of 1,000. That's how we want to focus it. But the point here is that I want you to be in a position to understand that your job, everybody's job, is to qualify the opportunity. Your job is always to be asking the right questions. Are you in a situation right now where everybody you talk to is fully aware of what is at stake, fully aware of what the problem is, of what the solution is, of what needs to be done, of what you're capable of doing, and over what time frame? And everybody's going to be on a different spectrum there. And if there's something missing, what is it? So that we can bring that to marketing, so that there's an opportunity to enhance the assets or the messaging, or insert something more in the process that is going to give somebody a great exchange of value, so that they understand, here's the next problem in the sequence that I need to solve. And if that's not what you're doing, then you're missing out on opportunity, because it's not that people aren't qualified. It's always that they're only qualified to a certain degree, and your job is to get them further on that pathway, right? As long as you're going to be in business tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, you might as well be preparing buyers for next month, next week, and next year, so that you can get them into that place, so that the ones who are ready to buy today are ready to buy, and the rest of them, well, they're on the conveyor belt. They are trying to see what is next, okay? I want to show you, so just what's landing for you there? What is one question? First of all, is one question that you can ask that is going to get people a bit more qualified. Just one degree of more qualification, one layer of greater qualification, right? When they say, it's not about having lines to overcome objections. That's never a thing. I'm not a fan of that. I want you to have perspectives on what they're sharing, because they're not objecting. In our world, objections are hesitations. And when somebody's hesitating, it's because they're not clear. When they lack clarity, they hesitate. And your job is to provide more clarity and then remove the hesitation, right? Just like when somebody says, well, we don't have the budget, right? A weak rep, read the article, please go check out the Substack. But when we see that, a weak rep is going to hear a no, right? Instead, we just get curious. My approach is I call it being in the sandbox. Whatever sandbox you give me is the sandbox I'm willing to jump in with you. So if you say, I don't have the budget, cool, let's talk about budget. Let's look at the budget. What is your budget? Who created the budget? What was the purpose of the budget? How do you typically handle when you're over budget or under budget? Right? What's your strategy around budget? Right? Because in our world, budget is a guideline, and it is basically an illumination opportunity. You get to see what's going on. And if I'm over budget in one category because we had seasonally something we were going to deal with that came up that we weren't prepared for, all it means is if I'm over budget here, I have to work to figure out how do I move some around so that I can be under budget someplace else, right? And then who's the person, right? Everything's a sales job. We've taken a job, a contract from a company who had they had $112,000. It was a radio advertising company, and they had a budget for sales and development, right? But they had, a budget for training it was $112,000 that they had allocated for development and growth in the company for the whole year. But that was for all divisions. And I was talking to the marketing division, to the ad division, and they were saying, my portion of this budget is $12,000, so that's what I can spend. And so we said, well, let's take a look at this, and what is the opportunity that's on the table? What's the problem that needs to be solved, and what's the upside and the gap between problem and solution? When we solve this, what's it going to allow you to do, right? Well, once we had this conversation and got further in depth in, and we started recognizing that budget can be reallocated, and let's put it to a specific place that is going to have a high concentration of problem solving that was going to be able to pay it back in spades. And so we ended up taking the entire budget for the whole company in the division, in the marketing branding division, and we turned that into $1 million opportunity over the next year. So they went over budget. They moved money around because we got curious and started asking and started discussing. And then we start recognizing that the people who put the budget together many times are not the one who has to operate under it. They're literally just operating off of a formula. Many times the person who puts the budget together is 2 states away, and they're just running the numbers. And they say, here you go, you got your 3% increase in your budget. Don't spend it all in one place. And so a lot of times the person who created the budget does not have the context for the operation inside of it. And this is just one of the many spokes on the wheel in that sales process, right? But it's making sure that you are doing whatever you can to qualify the opportunity. Make sure you get them qualified and ready so that they have the right awareness and stages of readiness, need, and desire so that you can move them forward. Maybe you shrink the timeline. Maybe you increase the case for what you're going to do. Maybe you increase the awareness for them of what is at stake if they don't solve the problem, so that they're not looking to try to hoard and save the money, but they're looking at where they can invest it to get a greater outcome. Okay, now you might see this as objection handling. I do not. I call this is all about context setting and being curious, right? This is all, to me, qualifying the opportunity. If they don't have the budget, they're not qualified. My job, every time I hear that, is how do I make them qualified? How do we get them qualified? Okay, and many times the sales rep is also, they don't have the budget. They're not charged with every lead that comes in the door, right? The business owner always knows how much money they're paying on leads, or they should know. Right? And if the sales reps had to pay for their own leads, pay for every appointment that sat on their calendar, we have a campaign that I was talking to the other day. They have a $242 SAT appointment cost. So to get somebody from a click all the way through their sequence to a webinar to show up on an appointment, $242, just for the privilege and opportunity to speak with a sales rep. What if you charge the sales rep that? You think the sales rep would do a little bit more to make sure they found every possible way to qualify the opportunity? It's not that they don't have the skill set, it's they don't have the right incentives, right motives, or maybe the right transparency and visibility into what is actually missing, right, in the opportunity. And that is also what leads me to, I'm going to show you, we have our salesmetric.ai, which is a program that I want to invite you to, right? We have been spending our whole career, I've been auditing sales calls my whole life. And we have audited over 25,000 sales calls in the last decade and a half manually. And we are world-class professionals at diagnosing sales processes, gaps, struggles, misfires, opportunities, what's missing in the sales process on front end and on back end, what needs to happen to make this opportunity more effective, what is missing in the sales process, not just in the sales conversation. Okay, but what we do is we show on this, whoops, where am I? There we go. Boom, boom. All right. So make sure that shows up. There it is. Okay. So we just grabbed a snapshot of 642 sales calls from a 30-day period for one of our clients. And here's something that I just wanted to be able to show you. Okay. So that you can see, right? We got some scoring on this, right? We can really dive in deep into what is going on. Oh, this was a couple of companies. My bad, I missed that report. Okay, and so what happened in this snapshot is you're seeing this is a scoring system that we put into play, missing it, making it, mismanaging it, and mastering it. And mastering it is basically it's 90 and above, right? And then 80 to 90 is making it, and then missing it is 70 to 80, and anything below that is mismanaging the opportunity. And what I'm not, if you want to go to the join our Substack, this is in there as a resource that you can check out and break down for yourself. But here's the piece that I really wanted to highlight for you, so that you can see. These are the 10 areas that we have trained our SalesMetric.ai on all of our IP, our frameworks, all of our strategies. And with 200,000 sales calls worth of assessments and $500 million worth of conversion results inside of this, and 25,000 sales calls audited. Okay, this is the thing to notice. Okay, discovery and depth, right? And discovery, depth, and quality, 67.2. And this is a snapshot of a couple of companies, but this is common across multiple. I'm going to be sharing more reports. We're going to grab more snapshots from different chunks of time with different offers, different opportunities, and collectively and individually, so that you can start seeing what we're seeing at scale, right? So that you can see this for yourself. Control and leadership, 68.2. Closing and commitment, right? This is a scoring system. Qualification and accuracy, right? Value articulation, buying intent recognition. This is a big one, right? Too many times we lose that opportunity. We wait for somebody to be super pumped, or we start pushing really hard to try to get them there, instead of just understanding what it is that they really showed up here for, what the opportunity that lies before them, what is at stake for them, what's the second and third order consequence of them solving or not solving the problem, and what will it lead to for them, what will it cost them in their opportunity in their business as a sales leader, right? We are here, our SalesMetric AI, and what we do is we are here to make sales people heroes and make sales leaders a secret weapon to be able to support and serve the sales team. Because the reality is, hey, I've been a sales manager, I've been a sales closer, been a leading salesperson. I've been every role you can play at every size and stage of a sales organization. And every time I got frustrated with what the sales manager did not know or could not do, then I ended up being the sales manager, only because I got tired of working with somebody who did not have the capabilities that I did. As you probably know, and you've probably been there yourself. But then after you do that for a while, and like 6 months later, I'm like, why the heck am I in this? I don't want to manage people. I'm not a sales manager, right? So then I would leave that position. What we know is most sales leaders didn't shoot for that. They didn't rise and ascend to that role. Most of them survived to that role. They were good, they were loyal, they were dutiful, they knew the people they could do. Maybe they just weren't the best sales people. They didn't have the greatest closing skill sets. But they knew what was at stake for the company. They knew what the company needed to do. They know the product line. They understand the avatar, right? It just wasn't they weren't necessarily the top dog in the shop, right? And so it gives them the tools. SalesMetric gives the breakdown, the tools, the insights to be able to lead effectively and turn the sales leader into a superhero and someone that can communicate effectively with top tier salespeople. And if that's you, we should have a conversation. Love to show you this thing, give you a demo for how this thing works for you. Reach out to me, tap wherever you are in here and just put sales metric, and we will reach out to you and share opportunity with you. And we're getting ready to launch this as we speak right now. And we are looking for partners. We're looking for you. You're a great partner for us if you have people who need to make sales calls in your audience, or if you have people who lead sales teams. Those are the ideal people that we can make magic happen for with sales metric, because we can easily and immediately deliver higher conversion rates, 10, 20, 30% improvements immediately. This is the least intrusive option you will ever have to be able to optimize your sales process. Least intrusive and fast turnaround ROI on the action. So we're going to break this down more. We'll be sharing more of this daily as we go, because we're ramming towards our launch, and we are looking for partners. We're looking for you. If you're interested, let us know. We'll get you on the wait list, or we'll see what we can do to maybe get you some early access. And then also, if you're a partner, if you have an audience who can benefit, they need more sales because of the wonderful work you're doing for them. You're getting them the opportunities to be able to grow their company and get more lead opportunities, more conversion opportunities, and we can be the secret weapon to make sure that they're starting to convert on those opportunities that you're helping them generate. So love to find out how we can support you. Reach out, let us know, type in the chat if you want partner opportunity, or just DM me on whatever platform that you are in, and I'll happily reach out to you and set you up for success. Right? So I look forward to be able to serving you, and let's make sure that we get you to be able to navigate the waters of qualification and disqualification. Remember, it's not a yes or no, it's a spectrum. And your job is to be at the high side of that spectrum, so you know how to move people effectively, consistently, and design your company with the process, system, strategy, and offer set that you don't require a rock star unicorn closer in order to make sales happen consistently and effectively. They just need to be able to work within the system and then put their great skill set to use around it. So we're here to help you, and let me know where you're at and any questions that you have around this qualification opportunity, and I'll drop the link for the Substack and for the Sales Metric AI in here, so you can check them both out. We want to get you guys as much support as possible, so you're making as many sales as you can possibly handle to generate the revenue and the profit to set you free in 2026. We got you. All right. Thanks for the time and the attention, and we'll see you on the next one.